Ranger.
Hi-yo, Silver!
A fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty hi-yo Silver. The Lone Ranger.
Hi-yo, Silver! Away!
With his faithful Indian companion Tonto, the daring and resourceful masked rider of the plains led the fight for law and order in the early West. Return with us now to those thrilling days of yesteryear. The Lone Ranger rides again.
$3,000 reward. The above reward will be paid by the Board of County Commissioners for information leading to the capture of the person responsible for the murder of Sheriff Richard Lee. Signed, Mrs. Richard Lee, Sheriff.
Woman sheriff, Kemo Sabe? We never hear of that before.
Some time ago, the Wyoming legislature passed a law giving the women right here to vote and hold office.
That may be a good idea.
It is good, Tonto. Someday, every woman in the United States will have the same right.
You think her elected to office after husband killed?
Perhaps. But the governor may have appointed her to fill out her husband's unexpired term.
That'd be a hard job for a woman.
You know, Tonto, I think it might be wise for us to go to Gunstock after all. The sun will be down soon and... What is it, Silver?
Hold it right there, mister. You're covered.
Well, what do you know about this? All right, lower your hands slow and drop your guns.
You're making a mistake, Deputy. If you let me explain...
You try explaining to the ranchers you and your outlaw pals have robbed. Or to that Wells Fargo driver you shot this morning. You've been riding mighty high since Dick Lee was killed, but it's all over now.
I take it that Mrs. Lee hasn't had much success in dealing with the outlaws in this territory.
Success? A woman sheriff?
You not like idea of woman in that job?
Nobody in Gunstock likes the idea.
And yet you obviously consented to work under her.
I was deputy to her husband for 5 years. And when he was murdered, she asked me to stay on a while. But a sheriff's office is no place for frills and ribbons. A woman belongs in her own home with her own man and her own children. Especially a woman as pretty as...
As pretty as Mrs. Lee?
We've wasted enough time. Now you start walking toward town. And remember, I'm riding right behind you. I told you, start walking.
Yeah, whatever you say, Deputy.
Maybe next time him learn to tie hands of men him capture.
Maybe.
What we do now?
I'm more certain than ever that we should pay a visit to Mrs. Lee. Her record, either of success or failure, may have great bearing on the future position of all American women in politics.
Deputy, follow us when him wake up.
Yes, we don't want him interfering with our plans. He seemed willing to have us walk into town. Do you suppose he'd be willing to do the same?
Of course, it may be that the reward isn't high enough. Perhaps we should...
I wonder if you realize what this job has been doing to you lately. You're wearing yourself out trying to find those devils who killed your husband.
I've got to find them, Mr. Harrison. I want to see them punished. I want that more than anything else in the world.
So it's still Mr. Harrison.
Well, I'm sorry, Chad.
Claire. I realize what your husband meant to you, but it's been almost a year now. It seems a little foolish for two lonely people to go on being lonely.
Please,
I've got the ranch and the cafe. You'll be well provided for if you marry me.
Well...
No?
I'm honored, Mr. Harrison, really honored, and, well, perhaps someday, after I've found Dick's murderer.
There are a lot of people in Gunstock who doubt that you'll ever find him. You know, I heard today that some of the folks are circulating petitions demanding your removal from office.
Well, that's their privilege. The governor appointed me to take Dick's place, and it's his duty to remove me if that's what the people want. But I'll never resign, Mr. Harrison. Not for any reason.
All right, it's your decision. May I drive you home?
Thank you, but I have some old reports of my husband's I want to go over.
Then I'll bid you good night.
Good night, Mr. Harrison.
Mrs. Lee, don't be frightened. I'm a friend.
Bill! Bill!
If you're calling for your deputy, I think you should know that he won't be back for some time yet.
If you've killed him,
I haven't killed him. An Indian friend and I met him this afternoon. He accused us of being outlaws and tried to bring us in.
Well, if you were able to get away then, why are you here now?
Because I wish to talk to you alone. That's why I waited until your guest had left.
I don't understand. You wear a mask and yet...
Perhaps this will help identify me.
Silver bullet. My husband once told me about a man who wore a mask and carried silver bullets like this. He said that man helped him to capture a murderer by the name of Ridgway.
The murderer's name was Roswell.
Yes, Roswell. So you're the Lone Ranger.
That's right, ma'am. Perhaps now you'll allow me to help you find another murderer. The man who killed your husband.
I don't know why, but somehow I feel I can trust you. And I won't deny that I need help.
Tell me, Mrs. Lee, is there any connection between your husband's death and the wave of robberies since then?
I'm almost sure the same man is behind it all. And I think my husband knew who that man was.
Why do you say that?
Here's the last report my husband entered into his book. It's dated August 17th. First stage robbery County ever had was reported at 1 p.m. today. Went to scene. Failed to pick up trail, but found heel shot from one outlaw's boot by stage passenger. Will accuse suspect this afternoon. That night, my husband was shot from an alley here in Gunstock.
That boot heel he mentions.
I have it here, but it means nothing at all to me.
That's curious. Mrs. Lee, do you know any Indians around here working as cowboys who wear boots?
I've never noticed.
Look here. See how even the wear is?
Yes.
Well, nearly all white men, when they walk, hit the ground with the back edge of their boot heel. That part shows the most wear. Indians, on the other hand, walk with their toes pointed in. They hit the ground with the heel and sole at the same time, and the wear is even.
As it is here. Of course, then.
Kemo Sabe.
Yes, Tonto. This is the Indian friend I mentioned.
Deputy, come now.
If he sees us talking to you, it may cause trouble. Is there someplace we can hide?
Well, the cell block is empty right now.
Thanks, Mrs. Lee.
Well, where have you been?
It's a good question. I happened to stumble across an Indian and masked man on the Powder River Trail. Masked man got the jump on me, and when they came to, my horse was gone. But that's not the point. If I'd had any help, he wouldn't have gotten away from me in the first place.
You had a 10-man posse when you went after those men who robbed the stage this morning?
I had 2 bartenders, 1 barber, and 7 bums off the street.
Well, I've tried to get more full-time deputies.
Full-time deputies? There's not a man in this town outside myself crazy enough to work for a female sheriff.
No? Then maybe you'd like to resign, too. You haven't been much help lately.
Oh, now look!
No, you look. Do you see this heel? After nearly a year, I finally learned that it probably came from the boot worn by an Indian. You were supposed to have had some experience in these matters.
Experience? You're the sheriff, not me. I didn't like the idea when you were appointed, and I don't like it now.
You're through, Bill.
Through?
Your gun and gun belt are county property.
Now, wait.
Leave them here with your badge.
They're all yours.
I'm sorry the deputy felt that way.
It's all right. I don't need him. But what do we do now?
First of all, I think we'd better keep an eye on the deputy. If he spreads word around town that he's been fired, it might occur to the leader of the gang, whoever he is, that a sheriff's deputy might be a good person to do business with.
Me keep eye on him, Kemo Sabe.
Good. Also, try to find out if there are any Indian cowboys working in the neighborhood. I'll make camp in the grove of trees south of town. We'll meet later. I'll contact you sometime tonight.
All right.
Good night, Mrs. Lee.
Good night.
Well, Taylor, good to see you. Sit down. What's on your mind?
Well, I'm so blame mad, Mr. Harrison, I don't know if I'm thinking straight, but
I noticed you weren't wearing your badge.
the sheriff fired me. Can you beat that?
Well, Bill, you know how women are.
Well, I sure know how this one is. High-handed, stubborn.
Bill, I don't understand what all this has to do with me.
Well, it's like this, sir. I heard something tonight that makes me think I may have a line on Dick Lee's murderer, but I need your help in proving it.
Go on.
Well, somehow or other, Mrs. Lee learned that that heel her husband found last August probably came from a boot worn by an Indian.
An Indian?
Yeah. Now, as far as I can remember, the only Indian ranch hand who worked around here when Dick Lee was murdered is that fellow that works for you.
I suppose you mean Comanche Joe. But Joe wouldn't.
How do you know what he does when he's away from the ranch?
You may have a point. And you want to question him, is that it?
That's it. I'd give my right arm, Mr. Harrison, to break that gang up by myself.
Have you mentioned your ideas about Joe to anyone else?
Well, not a soul. I wanted to talk to him first.
But there are other Indians around here.
Yeah, I know that. I ran into one this afternoon. He was with a masked man who rode a white stallion. I'm dead sure they're part of the outfit. Now...
Wait a minute. You saw a masked man and an Indian?
Yeah?
Do you remember anything else about him?
Well, the masked man called his horse Silver, I think. Why, do you know him, Mr. Harrison?
Oh, no, I don't know him. Look, Bill, I'm glad you came to me about Comanche Joe. And I think you should question him. Suppose you ride out to the ranch tomorrow afternoon about 5:30. I'll see that Joe's there.
I knew you'd help me.
Anytime. Smitty, come in here.
You want me?
We're in trouble. Claire knows that boot heel Lee found belonged to an Indian. And Taylor remembered that Comanche Joe had been around at the time.
I knew somebody beside Lee would figure that out sooner or later. So I thought you were going to do something about getting one of our gang in as sheriff.
Claire won't resign.
You took care of her husband, you could have taken care of her.
Nothing happens to Mrs. Lee, you understand?
Taylor was able to put two and two together. Suppose Mrs. Lee does the same thing.
Then she'll come to me with her suspicions first, just as Taylor did. If that happens...
Meanwhile, we got Taylor out snooping around the ranch.
I doubt if he'll ever get there. He's riding out tomorrow to see Joe. I'll gun him on the trail. With a silver bullet.
With what?
Have you ever heard of a man called the Lone Ranger?
No.
Well, I have. I saw him and his Indian friend clean out a gang in Texas. He's dangerous, Smitty. He's very dangerous. And now he's here in Wyoming.
So what?
So I'm not taking any chances. I'm gonna get him before he gets me. You see, Smitty, he uses silver bullets. And when Taylor's brought in with a few silver slugs in his back, I think the folks at Gunstock will take it from there. Especially when we swear that we saw the masked man do the shooting.
You know, I think I'm gonna like that.
I thought you would. All right, take some silver coins out to the ranch house. Melt them down and mold them into bullets for me. 45 caliber. All right, get going.
Well, Tonto, what did you learn?
Me follow deputy till him go home, Kemo Sabe. Him talk to only one man in town. Cafe and ranch owner named Harrison.
Did you hear what was said?
Deputy say him want to talk to Indian cowboy who work on Harrison Ranch. Fellow named Comanche Joe. Him only ranch hand around here when Sheriff Lee killed.
I see.
Harrison tell deputy to come to ranch tomorrow afternoon at 5:30. Comanche Joe be there then.
Strange that Harrison never suspected that one of his ranch hands was working with a gang. Tomorrow afternoon, Tonto, you and I'll be at the Harrison Ranch.
Well, it's about time you were getting here. What have you been doing?
I wanted to make sure these silver slugs fitted tight in their cases. How do they look?
They'll do. Where's Comanche Joe?
He and the boys are over in Horse Creek. They're buried in the Wells Fargo box we lifted yesterday.
Good. Well, I'm all set. Taylor ought to be riding along any minute now.
Good luck. I'll wait here.
Right.
Hurry, Tonto.
Him dead, Kemo Sabe?
Not yet, Tonto. But he's wounded badly. I think you'd better take him to the doctor in Gunstock at once. I'll try to pick up the trail of whoever arranged this ambush. We better not spend any more time looking for the trail, big fellow. Tonto will be waiting for us in town. Let's go.
Kemo Sabe, you get away.
Tonto, what?
Keep your hands away from your gun.
Mrs. Lee, I don't understand.
No? Go inside. Hurry up. Drop your gun. I trusted you. I thought you wanted to help me.
I do.
By shooting Bill Taylor in the back?
So that's it. I had nothing to do with that, Mrs. Lee. When Tonto and I found Taylor, he...
Nothing to do with it. 2 men saw the shooting. Chad Harrison's word alone would be enough to hang you in this county. But I have more than eyewitness evidence against you.
May I ask what it is?
On my desk, you'll find the bullets the doctor took from Bill Taylor's back. Look at them.
Silver.
Yes, silver. And you're probably the only man in the West that fires those kind of bullets. If Bill dies...
He's still alive?
By some miracle, yes. I wanted to stay at the hospital with him, but Mr. Harrison thought I ought to come here in case you tried to join your Indian friend.
Harrison isn't alone with Taylor, is he?
Alone? Well, not exactly. The other witness against you, a man called Smitty, is there too. And the doctor, of course.
Mrs. Lee, it's vitally important you listen to exactly what I have to say. Bill Taylor's life may depend upon it. First of all, these slugs didn't come from my guns.
Mister, your belt is filled with silver bullets like that, so don't...
The silver in my bullets is pure silver. These slugs are different. Compare them yourself.
Yes, I can see the difference.
The bullets taken from Taylor's back were silver alloyed with another metal, possibly made from silver coin. Certainly they were made for the purpose of framing me.
Framing you?
Last night, Tonto overheard Taylor making an appointment with Harrison to question one of his ranch hands about the boot heel your husband found. At 5:30, on his way to keep that appointment, Taylor was shot. Now, Tonto and I would have no reason on earth to harm him. But Harrison, on the other hand...
Are you accusing Chad Harrison of attempted murder?
I believe at least he should be questioned.
I couldn't do that.
Then let me do it. Return my guns and put Tonto and me in an unlocked cell. Then invite Harrison to identify us. I think I can force a confession from him.
No man who was ever sheriff would consider such a proposal. All right, I'll do it.
You've done a brilliant job, Claire. Absolutely brilliant.
I have the masked man and the Indian in a cell together. Follow me.
You've let him keep his mask on.
Certainly. You said he had it on when you saw him before. How could you identify him without it?
Well, you're right, of course. And that is the man who shot Taylor. Don't you agree, Smitty?
That's him, all right.
Well, Claire,
What's that? Put up your hands. Both of you. Tonto, get their guns.
What kind of a childish trick is this?
Check this gun, Tonto.
This is outrageous.
Gun not have silver bullets, Kemo Sabe.
So you got rid of them, Harrison.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Tonto, see what Smitty has in his pocket.
You can't. Keep your hands up. Silver bullets, Kemo Sabe.
So you were the one who shot Taylor.
Nobody's railroading me for this.
Shut up, Smitty. You've said enough. Don't be a stupid idiot all your life.
Stupid, am I? Or maybe I made them, but I didn't use them. Harrison here shot Taylor.
I think I've heard enough.
All right, drop your guns quick.
Good work, Mr. Harrison.
I didn't want it to end like this, Claire. I didn't want to kill anybody, not even your husband, but I had to.
Let's get out of here, Mr. Harrison.
You always were a fool, weren't you, Smitty? Get over there.
Oh, wait a minute, Mr. Harrison.
Always were a fool.
Tonto, take care of the wounded man.
Stand still, you devil.
Good boy, Silver. All right, Harrison. On your feet.
So that's how it all ended, Bill. Comanche Joe and the entire Harrison gang were picked up. Smitty's confession implicated them all. And the stolen money that was buried at Horse Creek has been recovered.
Well, you sure did a fine job, mister. I only wish I hadn't gotten your way so much.
You were only trying to do your duty, Bill. No man can be blamed for that.
I guess I made my share of mistakes. And the biggest one was being so stubborn about a woman holding office.
Bill.
I heard the people in town are mighty proud of their sheriff. They want you to run again, Claire, and so do I.
But I don't. Being sheriff is a man's job. Takes a man of experience, background, and bravery. Takes a man like you, Bill. However, I may run for the County Board of Commissioners.
Well, then, I insist at least on being your campaign manager.
I really didn't have anything to do with capturing Harrison, the masked man, and Tonto. Where did they go?
Well, I don't know.
Well, anyway, they promised to return if any of us ever needed them again.
I wonder who that masked man was.
Don't you know? Harrison did. It's the Lone Ranger.
The Lone Ranger.
Hi-yo, Silver!
A fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty hi-yo Silver. The Lone Ranger.
Hi-yo, Silver! Away!
With his faithful Indian companion Tonto, the daring and resourceful masked rider of the plains led the fight for law and order in the early West. Return with us now to those thrilling days of yesteryear. The Lone Ranger rides again.
Pretty good, huh, Grandpa?
Yeah. But when I was your age, I could do that with both eyes shut and a riding lickety-split.
Guess there weren't many outlaws like you in these parts, huh, Grandpa?
No, I guess not. They just wasn't put together like I was. 1 part corn liquor and 3 parts dynamite. And if I hadn't got shut up in Brewster City, I'd still be on the top of the heap, maybe in California by now.
I asked you to milk the cow an hour ago.
Sorry, Mom.
I don't like to nag, son, but I can't do everything myself.
All right, all right.
Before you go, let me have that gun.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I better take that. It's empty now, but you being a woman, you're still liable to hurt yourself.
Dad, we've been living here with you on the farm now for 6 months, and we're grateful to you for helping us out. But why can't you leave the boy alone? Stop putting a gun in his hand.
What's wrong with teaching a young one to shoot straight?
You're not just teaching him to shoot straight. You're filling him full of wild tales, egging him on to a life of crime.
Adventure.
I don't care what you call it. It's still crime. Leave him alone.
Leave him alone. Leave him alone. That's all I hear from morning till night. Haven't you got any other topic of conversation?
Shelby's all I think about. All I worry about. I don't want him to be like you, loafing all the time, getting a lot of crazy ideas. Why don't you help him develop a sense of responsibility?
Who to? A bunch of pigs and chickens? Trouble with you, Elizabeth, is you haven't got any imagination. You're just like that woman I married. That's why my son turned out to be a jellyfish. Well, it's going to be different with him.
What's wrong, Dan? Why were you riding so fast?
There's been some trouble in Brazos.
What kind of trouble?
Well, I stopped by the post office to see if there was any mail from Tonto. When I came out, I found out that 2 bandits had robbed the bank, murdered a guard.
Did anyone recognize the killers?
Yes, sir. They were Moose Miller and Pecos Smith.
Miller and Smith.
I remember Tonto telling me about them before he left for his tribe's council meeting.
Dan, Miller, and Smith are wanted by half the sheriffs in this area. Do you know which direction they took?
They rode west.
You come back with mighty important information.
When you have the Lone Ranger for an uncle, sir, you learn to do that.
While Tonto's away visiting his Indian friends, you may learn a lot more. Let's see if we can pick up the killer's trail. Come on.
What are we stopping for? Don't tell me the great Moose Miller's lost.
The Haskell farm must be around here someplace.
Suppose this Haskell character won't hide us out.
He will. I think it's down this way. Come on.
Here are some hot biscuits, son.
Thanks, Mom. Grandpa, you never did tell me what happened in Brewster City.
Well, your mom don't like for me to talk about it.
Brewster City was his Waterloo.
If that means you gopher I was working with have been smart, we'd have got away without a scratch.
If the law hadn't caught you in Brewster City, you'd have been caught somewhere else.
You're wrong, woman. By now, I'd be in California, living off the fat of the golden land.
What were you after in Brewster City?
Oh, about 5,000 in gold.
Gosh.
Oh, it wasn't just the money I was after, boy. It was excitement.
Yeah, I know.
Never had any excitement. Grew up in this self-same farm just like you, milking the cows, feeding the pigs. But always looking off to the hills. And never seeing what was on the t'other side. Just plumb tied me up in knots. But one day I joined up with a bunch of hustlers. Ornery pack that ever rode out of Texas. And from that day, boy, the world was my oyster until...
I bet.
Shelby, you haven't finished your supper.
Can't, Mom. I'm in a hurry.
I thought you were going to do your schoolwork tonight.
Not tonight, Mom.
Shelby, I hope you're not going into town to meet those Ashley boys.
Please, Mom, don't start that again.
I've told you how I feel about Tom Ashley. You know the kind of reputation he has.
Excuse me, Mom. I'm in a hurry.
Shelby!
Oh, lay off the kid.
You don't care what happens to him, do you? He can run around with the Ashley boys, get into all kinds of trouble, fail in his schoolwork. It just doesn't matter to you.
Oh, shucks. Shelby's old enough to look out for himself.
I want to read you something.
Huh? What is it?
A theme Shelby wrote when he was in the 5th grade. It's called The Most Important Man in the Whole World. Listen. My grandpa is the most important man in the whole world. He is not afraid of anybody. He is big and strong and honest, like George Washington, who was our first president. When I grow up, I want to be like him, so he will be proud of me. Shelby's always wanted you to be proud of him, ever since he was a little boy. I thought his devotion to you would do something to you inside. Would turn you into something he could look up to and admire. But I was wrong.
Gosh!
Don't worry, kid. I won't hurt you. Know anybody in these parts by the name of Haskell?
Sure, that's my name. I'll bet you're looking for my grandpa, Jim Haskell.
Haskell's your grandpa? How about that, Pecos? Haskell's the kid's grandpa.
Time we had some luck.
Will you take us to the old man?
Sure, I'd be glad to. You two fellas in some kind of trouble?
Don't ask questions, kid. Just do what I say.
All right, but you needn't get sore. If you're in trouble, you can count on Grandpa. Me too.
Hey, you're all right. Show us the way.
Well, the ground is getting mighty hard underfoot, sir.
Yes, Dan. Looks like we'll lose the trail soon. It seems to go south from here. Did you ever hear of Jim Haskell?
Haskell? Yes, I think so. I seem to remember you telling Tonto he was a gun runner, an outlaw, about 15 years ago.
That's right, Dan. He was wounded in the holdup, spent some time in prison, then retired on a farm not far from here. I knew his son. He was a fine man.
Do you think the killers went to Haskell for help?
And it's possible. We'd better check that first before we do anything else. I understand Haskell turned over a new leaf, but I may be wrong. Let's go.
I'm hungry enough to eat hay. What's taking the old guy so long? Something tells me we shouldn't have come here.
All right, pipe down. Here he comes now.
Turn that light down. My daughter-in-law ever finds out you're here, she'd raise the roof. Bring you some grub.
Thanks.
I told you could count on Grandpa. Me too.
Ham and apple cider.
Here, Pecos, I'll pour it for you. There's plenty more in the house.
Hey, Moose, the kid's all right. Grub sure is good.
Yeah, my mom's a swell cook.
But you don't like strangers, is that it, kid?
No woman likes stranger folk hanging around. That all you want? Just the grub?
We was figuring on sticking around for a day or two.
Sure, that's all right, isn't it, Grandpa?
I don't know.
Don't have to worry. There's a loft. We'll keep out of sight.
What about them horses?
I'll take them around back of the barn. Mom will never see them.
I don't know. I want to have a talk with these fellas, Shelby. You get on the outside.
What do you want to get rid of me for?
Let the kid stay.
Do as I say, son. Take care of the horses.
Oh, all right.
Now, just what kind of trouble are you fellas in?
What's the matter, Haskell? You getting nervous in your old age?
No, but when I give bed and board to a couple of flea-bitten range folks, I like to know what I'm letting myself in for.
How about letting yourself in for some of this?
Gee whitters. You must have stuck up a bank.
He may be old and nervous, but he isn't stupid.
Let us stay here for a day or two, and I'll double this when we leave.
Then it was a bank, huh?
Over to Brazos. We plugged a guard.
Keep your mouth shut, Pecos. Oh, what do you say, Haskell?
Yeah, take back your money.
What's the matter? Don't you like the smell of this stuff anymore?
Oh, sure. But I don't want to be paid for doing a favor for a couple of fellas. Just make yourselves to hum.
horses are hidden.
Good. Wait a minute. You hear that? Somebody's coming. Put up your hands, mister. And you too.
I'd advise you to put that gun away.
And I'd advise you to do as I say.
All right, if you insist. You're Tom Haskell's son, aren't you?
That's right, I am.
You're Jim Haskell, Tom's father.
Suppose you let us ask the questions, mister. Now, who are you?
And how come you're wearing a mask?
It's a long story, son. But I can assure you I'm on the side of the law.
Yeah? Well, what's your business?
If you put that gun away, I'll tell you why my friend and I have come here.
I think you'd better tell us first.
All right, Mrs. Haskell. My friend and I are on the trail of two killers, Moose Miller and Pecos Smith. They robbed the bank in Brazos this morning and shot the teller in cold blood.
We followed their trail as far as Granite Peak, and then we rode here to find out if you'd seen them.
What makes you think they'd head for this place?
You know the answer to that question as well as I do, Haskell.
Put that gun down, Dad.
What's wrong with you, Elizabeth?
Mom, he's lying. These men are dangerous.
Somehow I don't quite believe that. Put the gun down.
Thank you, ma'am.
Dad, those men haven't been here, have they?
I haven't seen anybody.
Shelby?
Gosh, Mom, you don't think Grandpa and I would help out a couple of killers, do you?
No, son. No, of course not.
Did you notice any strangers in town?
I haven't been to town.
Nobody's been anywhere, mister. Not for a couple of days. So why don't you stop asking questions? We don't know anything about those men you're after.
You heard what my son said?
Yes, ma'am.
Then perhaps you'll go now. You've no business here. Really no business at all.
Sorry, Mrs. Haskell. Bye.
Dad, Shelby, tell me the truth. Those men haven't been here, have they?
Gosh, Mom, how many times do we have to tell you?
Well, that's it.
It's not safe to hide the money here any longer. We've had trouble with that masked man before. I don't like this.
What are you worrying about? They're both gone. Or maybe you think they're coming back.
Either that, or if they spread the word they trail us to Granite Peak, we'll have a dozen posses on our backs. Go after them, Pecos.
Me? Go after them alone?
You heard me.
Why don't we both go?
Because I don't trust the old man any longer. Not after the way he refused our money.
You figure he's thinking about turning us over to the law?
I don't know. But as long as we're holed up here, I want to keep an eye on him. Now get going.
Spend the night here, Dan.
You know, sir, the boy said nobody had come or gone for 2 days, but he seemed mighty nervous while we were talking to him. It was almost as though he were trying to get us away from the barn.
Yes, I noticed that, too.
Maybe the killers were hiding there.
I don't know. Mrs. Haskell believed her son was telling the truth. She's a fine woman, Dan. I only hope we can catch the crooks without involving the boy.
Well, I hope so, too, sir. But what if the boy is like his grandfather? And what if he lied?
Crooks can't slip through our fingers. I know this territory. This trail is their only avenue of escape. We'll take turns standing guard just in case they leave the farm.
He nearly took my hand off.
Consider yourself lucky that I didn't. Where's your partner? He must still be at the Haskell farm. All right, Dan, get some rope and we'll tie him up. Then we'll ride to the Haskell farm and get Moose Miller.
Right.
Oh, it's you.
Pecos followed the masked man and his friend.
Yeah, I know. Anything happen?
The masked man took him prisoner, and now he's coming to get you.
I gotta get out of here.
Moose,
Yeah, kid, what do you want?
now that Pecos can't be your partner anymore, maybe you can use a new one.
You? Don't make me laugh. That's your first pair of long pants.
I'm the best shot in White River County. Ask Grandpa. And I've been riding since I was knee-high.
You sound like a natural, all right. Look me up in California in 5 or 6 years.
California? Gosh, is that where you're heading?
That's where gold is easy pickings.
You better take me along, Moose. Otherwise, you don't stand much chance getting there.
No? How come?
There's only one trail out of town, the way you rode in. The same way the masked man's coming back.
I'll find the trail later on. Right now, I'm covering ground.
That's just it, Moose. There's no ground to cover.
What do you mean?
We're hemmed in on the north and east by White River. And this time of the year, it's plenty deep and fast.
I'll head south.
That way's Granite Peak, and it's solid. Except I know a secret trail. Found it when I was a kid.
Show it to me, will you, boy?
Sure, Moose. I'll lead you back to the main trail, too.
Say, you're all right. Maybe I'll change my mind about you and take you to California after all.
Gosh, you really mean it?
Sure. Let's go.
Grandpa!
Get on up to the house, Shelby.
I haven't got time to argue with you, Haskell. The masked man and his pal are on their way back here.
That's right. They captured Pecos. Now they're coming to get him.
Well, get going. Nobody's stopping you.
Take it easy, Grandpa. I'm going with Moose. Maybe to California. That's what you've been aiming for me to do, isn't it? Cut loose from the pigs and go places?
Yeah, son. That's what I've been aiming for you to do, but all of a sudden I realized something. It's no good moving out on pigs if you're gonna move in with killers. And it's no good having people look up to you if you're dangling at the end of a rope.
Cut the gab, Haskell. Come on, kid.
You're not taking my boy with you, Miller.
Why, you...
Ah! Grandpa! Grandpa! He gave you food, a place to sleep. He was your friend. You had no right hitting him.
Come on, kid. Let's go.
But, Grandpa!
I said, come on. Move. All right, get going. Get on your horse. Hurry up. Now start leading the way. If you make a false move, I'll drill you through the head. Go on.
Shelby. Shelby. Shelby! Oh. Dad, you're hurt.
I'm all right.
Where did Shelby go? Dad, answer me.
With Moose Miller.
Moose Miller.
We lied to you, Elizabeth. Them killers was here. The masked man caught one of them, and now Shelby's gone off with the other one, Miller.
Oh, Dad!
Oh, it's all my fault, filling his head full of ideas. I'm going to town and get the sheriff. It's the masked man and his friend.
Thank heaven you're here. Moose Miller just left and took my boy with him.
They're heading south to Granite Peak. If you hurry, maybe you can catch up with them.
Please, please go after them.
Don't worry, Mrs. Haskell. We'll bring your boy back to you safe and sound. Jim, keep your eye on this man.
Go on, kid.
Catching up. I hear hoofbeats.
I'll go that way, Dan. You head him off the other way so we can box him in.
Don't try anything funny.
I'm not, Moose. Honest. I've never tried to find my way before at night. Somebody's coming.
Quick, over there.
Sir?
Yes, Dan. Keep him covered.
Sir?
Thanks. On your horse, son. Everything is under control, Mrs. Haskell. The sheriff has the 2 killers under lock and key. The bank is sending a courier to pick up the stolen money.
You sure you haven't overlooked something, mister?
I am not so sure.
You don't have to worry about me, mister. Honest.
Now, the kind of a grandpa I'm going to be from now on. As Elizabeth said, I was always filling Shelby's head full of wild tales, trying to live my life all over again through him. I didn't stop to think that maybe I might be leading him up the wrong trail. But your coming has taught me a lesson. In fact, it's taught us both a lesson. There's 2 ways for a fellow to look for adventure. By tearing everything down or building everything up. And somehow I like your way best, mister. Because, well, because...
Look what it's done for us.
That's right, son. Adios, my friends.
Gosh, Mom, I wonder who he is.
Why, son, he's the Lone Ranger.
The Lone Ranger. A fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty Hi-Yo Silver. The Lone Ranger.
Hi-Yo Silver! Away!
With his faithful Indian companion Tonto, the daring and resourceful masked rider of the plains led the fight for law and order in the early West. Return with us now to those thrilling days of yesteryear. The Lone Ranger rides again.
You find out who owns the land, boss?
Mm-hmm. Somebody named John Thorpe.
Suppose he'll want to sell.
No reason why he won't. Unless somebody tells him he's sitting on a fortune in copper. And I sure don't plan on telling him.
Ginny, I told you not to do that heavy work.
Now, Dad, I'm strong enough to carry water buckets. Besides, you're busy.
Welcome, friends. I'm looking for John Thorpe. Might you know where we could find him, preacher?
Why, I'm John Thorpe, and this is my daughter, Virginia. I'm not used to hearing my full name like that. I've been called Brother John now for almost 15 years.
You two here alone?
Well, yes. Is there something we can do for you, gentlemen? I'm afraid you're a bit early for services. We won't be ready for a day or two yet.
Look, preacher, we're not here to get religion. This is a business trip.
Dad.
It's all right, my dear. There's nothing to be frightened of. Now then, gentlemen, you said something about business?
Mm-hmm. We're interested in this property, and record says you own it.
That's right. But I don't intend to sell it. I have big plans for this piece of land.
So have we, preacher. And we're prepared to pay you plenty.
Well, just why does this property interest you so much, Mr.
Dillon, miss. Crane Dillon. Looking for a place to settle down. This kind of strikes my fancy.
Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Dillon, but there are other spreads in the area. I'm sure you'll find something.
Maybe you didn't hear me good enough, preacher. I said I wanted this property. Now, we've made you an offer. I think you better take us up on it.
You keep out of this, lady.
Maybe you've let my calling sway you, Mr. Dillon. I preach against violence, but sometimes it seems necessary. Now get out of here.
All right, get him up. Hang on to him. Now, brother, I'm going to preach you a little sermon, just to teach you I mean what I say.
Let him alone.
The masked man.
Hello, Brother John. Who are these men?
Not close friends, obviously, as you can see. Thank you, friend, for your interruption.
Look, mister, whoever you are, maybe we could make a deal.
The only deal we're going to make is a trip to the sheriff's office.
No, my friend. Let them go.
But, Dad.
Never mind, Ginny. I think Mr. Dillon deserves another chance. Perhaps he's learned his lesson.
You're getting a break, Dillon. One I'm not sure you deserve. Now, you'd better leave.
Oh, Dad, are you all right?
I'm just fine, my dear. Thanks to our masked friend.
Yes, you certainly did show up just at the right time. But what brings you here?
Miss Thorpe, I heard your father bought this property. Brother John, I haven't seen you since you established the missionary school on the reservation. I wanted to see how plans were going.
Fine, my friend, just fine. However, it will be some time before my plans are fully realized. It will take a lot of money and hard work.
Of course. What did Dillon and his friends want here?
This property.
They must have wanted it badly.
Perhaps. But that's over now. Tell me, where is your Indian friend, Tonto? It's unusual to see you without him.
He's in Trail City getting some supplies. I'm to meet him at our campsite later.
Will you be in this area long, sir?
Perhaps, Miss Thorpe, if I'm needed.
Hey, mister, you dropped paper.
Out of my way, Indian.
Thank you, my friend. Are you all right?
Me all right.
Seems to me you're making a mistake, mister. Siding with a redskin.
What it seems like to you is not important.
Hold it, boys. Reckon my gun will settle this.
Ought to warn you, mister. This here's Crane Dillon you're slapping leather with. He's like lightning.
Your concern is gratifying, but we'll see how fast he is.
You got me cold. I ain't drawing.
Who are you, mister? Is it important?
Gun as fast as that's plenty important. What did you come to Trail City for?
I've got a score to settle with a man named John Thorpe.
Tonto. What's wrong?
Trouble, Kemo Sabe. Gunfighter come to Trail City. Say him have scored a settlement with John Thorpe.
John Thorpe? You mean Brother John?
Him drop paper, me see. Paper say him name William Hubbard. Finished medical school in East.
A diploma? You mean this man's a doctor?
That's right.
I wonder why a man who took the doctor's oath to save a human life is prepared to turn killer. And why is he after a peaceful man like Brother John?
Me wonder the same thing, Kemo Sabe. That's why me ride fast. You go see, Doctor?
Yes, Tonto. I'll see him tonight, when my mask won't be seen in Trail City.
That's good.
Did you check on the room number?
Hotel clerk say room 103.
Keep your hands up, both of you.
We come in peace, Doctor.
Your friend and I have already met. What's this all about?
May we come in? We'd like to talk to you.
Just keep your hands away from your guns. You're masked.
My mask stands for justice. That's why I came here. Tonto told me what happened in town. How you faced down Crane Dillon. It's hard to believe that a man who'd do that is a killer.
What I do is my business. It's no concern of yours.
I'm afraid it is, Doctor. John Thorpe happens to be a friend of mine.
You're not very careful in choosing your friends.
I value his friendship highly. I want to help him, and you, if you'll let me. Suppose you tell me the story.
It wouldn't change things.
I'd still like to hear it.
All right. It began 20 years ago. I was just a boy living with my father. Thorpe had a ranch near our place. Some of his cattle were stolen. On the basis of flimsy evidence, he accused my father of being the thief. Because of those accusations, my father was lynched.
I'm sorry.
Later, Dad was proved innocent. I began practicing with guns, waiting for the day I could get my revenge. A lawyer friend of my father sent me some money to put me through medicine. I tried to forget what had happened, but I couldn't. After I finished school, I began my search for Thorpe. It led me here to Trail City.
20 years is a long time, Doctor. Maybe you'll find the man has changed when I take you to him.
You know where he is? But I thought...
That I want to save him? I do, Doctor.
I don't understand.
I think you will, Doctor, when you meet John Thorpe tomorrow. Tonto?
Why are we stopping here? This looks like some kind of a church.
That's right, it is. I promised the preacher here I'd make a donation for a project he's planning.
All right, but can you hurry it? I'd like to get on to a meeting with Thorpe.
Certainly. Why don't you come in with us, Doctor? Possibly you'd like to make a donation yourself. The project is very worthwhile.
What are you doing?
This is a church. Weapons don't belong here.
Oh, hello.
Hello, Virginia. Is your father here?
Yes, he's in the back. Dad, you have company.
Hello. Is something wrong?
Nothing that can't be settled, Brother John. We've brought a friend with us, a doctor. He's just arrived in Trail City.
A doctor? I'm honored, sir. We can use a medical man out here.
I thought you might tell the doctor of your work here, what your plans are.
Why, certainly. I plan to build a home on this very site, a home for orphan boys. You see, Doctor, I once made a terrible mistake. It was 20 years ago. I was the cause of a boy being orphaned. I've never forgiven myself.
And you think this boy's home will make up for what you did?
What I did, Doctor, can never be erased. What I'm trying to do is make restitution in the best and only way I know how. Can you understand?
I'm sure he does, Brother John, or he wouldn't be a doctor. You and he have the same thing in common. Saving souls and lives.
That's true.
I'd better get back to town.
Well, you will be back to see us, sir.
I'll be back.
Your doctor friend, masked man, there seems to be something bothering him.
You're right, Miss Thorpe. There is.
Is there anything we can do to help?
I hope you already have, Brother John. Goodbye, friends. Now, Doctor, do you see why we brought you here?
It's quite obvious, my friend. But how do I know that John Thorpe isn't simply hiding behind the cloth of a man of God?
You don't. But if he were, are you still willing to take his life?
He took my father's.
Maybe the man has changed.
I'm going to build a home for orphan boys.
He killed my father. He killed my father. What are you doing here?
I've been here since you left. You came to see Brother John?
Yes.
He's not inside. He and Tonto went to town for supplies. If you have a message for him, I'll be glad to give it to him.
I'm afraid the message will have to be delivered personally.
You still can't get straight within yourself, can you, Doctor?
He killed my father.
And he's been sorry for it ever since. Doctor, your medical training is priceless to the West. Could you practice your profession after deliberately violating the doctor's oath by taking a human life?
No, I don't suppose I could.
And another thing. You've already started to make a reputation for yourself as a fast gun. That may lead to nothing but trouble.
What do you mean?
I mean, there'll always be someone wanting to see how fast you are. To see if they can outdraw William Hubbard. You may be fast, Doctor. But believe me, there's someone always faster.
I've practiced with this gun for a long time. I don't intend to be a gunfighter. But I honestly believe there's not a man living who can outdraw or outshoot me.
You're wrong, Doctor. You can't outdraw me. And I'm the one you'll have to get past if you attempt to kill Brother John.
Look, my friend, my argument is with John Thorpe, not you.
This needn't be an argument, but just a game to show you how wrong you can be.
A game?
Yes, called Texas Draw. All you've got to do is to try to shoot the gun out of your opponent's hand. Are you willing?
All right.
Well, what is it?
Nothing serious, Miss Thorpe. Just a game. But one that may help the doctor make a decision.
Hello, Dad.
Hello, darling.
Tonto will ride out to our camp and pick up our gear.
You're leaving us?
No, Brother John. We'll see you again. But I'd like you to be on your guard while we're gone.
Why, certainly.
Silver. Good boy. Good.
They're leaving now, Dillon.
This is going to be too easy. Hey, I'm sure glad that stranger started spouting off about who he was gunning for.
You figure they'll blame the preacher's death on him, huh?
I know they will, and he won't have an alibi in the world that'll hold water.
The masked man and the Indian won't give you any trouble. Matt and me will take care of that.
Good. And I'll meet you in town with the papers showing that the preacher's property belongs to us. Come on, let's go.
Drink up, big fellow. What is it, Silver? Easy, boy, easy. He senses something, Tonto. Let's look up in the rocks.
You missed him. Come on, we'll have to go down after him.
Tonto, up in those rocks. Start firing. I'll circle around behind them. Drop those guns.
You all right, Kemo Sabe?
Yes, Tonto.
Why you try kill Tonto and friend?
Crane Dillon wanted you out of the way.
Where's Dillon now?
He's out at the preacher's.
Why does Dillon want that property?
There's copper on it.
Tonto, take these two into town and see that they get a cell. I'll meet you later at the church.
Me take care of them, Kemo Sabe. We go now.
You're a stubborn man, preacher, but you're going to sign over that bill of sale or else. I'm asking you, preacher. Are you going to sign over this property?
No.
I'm giving you just to the count of 3 to change your mind. 1, 2.
Please.
3.
Miss Thorpe.
Oh, he's hurt badly.
I'll tie Dillon up and then ride into town and get the doctor. Can you get him into your living quarters?
Yes.
Doctor, come quickly. Your services are needed.
What is it?
John Thorpe. He's been shot.
And you're asking me to help?
You're the only doctor within miles. Please hurry.
But...
Have you instruments?
Yes, in my bag.
Get them. Then get to your horse. I'll meet you on the road outside of town.
Oh, Doctor, thank goodness you've come.
Virginia, would you step outside for a moment? I'd like a word with the doctor.
Yes, certainly.
Well, Dr. Hubbard, my guns can do nothing now.
What do you mean?
His life is in your hands. It's up to you whether he lives or dies.
But my father, how can I forget that?
He hasn't forgotten it either, Doctor. He's done everything in his power to make it up. Now it's your turn to forgive. It isn't John Thorpe you're working on. It's Brother John.
Dr. Hubbard. The masked man told me who you are, why you came here.
If you'd like to call another doctor in.
Doctor, there's something I want you to know. Since my father made his mistake, I've been raised on one thing. Faith. I have faith in you. You're a doctor. And I think a good one.
I'll do my best, miss.
Oh, thank you, Doctor. Thank you.
What'd the doctor say, Miss Thorpe?
Everything's going to be all right.
Sheriff had men in jail, Kemo Sabe. And me take Dillon now?
Yes, Tonto. And tell the sheriff to hold him.
What me say is charge?
Attempted murder.
You may come in now.
Doctor, before we go in, there's something I want to tell you. The masked man asked me to wait until you were through with Father, because he said you wouldn't want it to affect your decision.
Yes?
It wasn't a lawyer friend who paid for your medical schooling. It was my father.
Your father?
He asked the lawyer not to tell you for fear you wouldn't accept the money.
What a fool I've been.
You did a fine job, Dr. Hubbard.
Thank you.
Brother John, your dream about a boy's home may come true sooner than you think. Your land is rich in copper. That's why Dillon and his men wanted it so badly.
The Bible says, "He who maketh haste to become rich shall not be innocent."
And, Father, I think we'll have a doctor for the home, too. Fine doctor. Fine man.
The doctor and the preacher. We should make a good combination, my boy.
I'm sure we will.
By the way, Doctor, I never did find out what brought you to Trail City. What was it?
I was looking for something. And now, thanks to the masked man, I think I've found it.
Why, he's gone.
Certainly, my dear. He has many things to write and many people to help, just as he's helped us.
But who is he?
I thought you doctors were supposed to know everything. He's the Lone Ranger.
The Lone Ranger.
Hi-yo, Silver!
A fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty hi-yo Silver. The Lone Ranger.
Hi-yo, Silver! Away!
With his faithful Indian companion Tonto, the daring and resourceful masked rider of the plains led the fight for law and order in the early West. Return with us now to those thrilling days of yesteryear. The Lone Ranger rides again.
The stage is on its way.
It's about time. Yeah, the driver ought to be ashamed of himself. Making the great Lou Compton wait like this.
You know, Barney, one of these days I'm gonna get tired of you needling me. When that happens, I'm gonna forget you're my brother and out.
Why don't you two save it till later? I thought we were out to pick up some easy money.
Let's get to work.
Any more guns up there?
No.
Then throw down the strong box.
No passengers, Lou, but somebody left a newspaper behind. Got a picture of you in it, too.
No kidding.
Not a bad likeness of the great Lou Compton.
Lou Compton?
So you've heard of me?
Yes, sir.
Well, then maybe next time you won't try to outrun Lou Compton.
Mr. Compton, my guard's hurt bad. If you're through with us,
Huh?
I'd like...
Oh, sure, beat it. Oh, and don't forget to tell the good folks in Cottonwood City who held you up. Remember the name, Lou Compton.
Get up! Hey!
Hey, listen to this. The notorious Lou Compton, wanted by law officers from Kansas to California, has now compiled a worse record of murders than even Billy the Kid himself. How about that?
Not a bad haul. Let's get out of here.
Now, don't rush us. Maybe that story continues on page 2. And we wouldn't want our hero to miss it.
Go ahead, brother. Draw.
Come on, let's go.
How about that?
Shots we hear come from this direction, Kemo Sabe, but me not see it.
Tonto, down on the road. Something shining in the sun.
Look like strongbox.
Come on, Silver. Tonto, this lock has been smashed by a bullet.
Heavy wheel marks show Stagecoach stop here. Also hoof prints of 3 horses. You think Compton gang do this?
Seems likely, Tonto. From all reports, the Comptons have taken this territory over completely.
Tracks be hard to follow on hard ground beyond road. What we do?
I'll follow the tracks as far as I can. You continue on into Cottonwood City. See what you can learn from the sheriff and the stagecoach driver there. We'll meet at camp later.
Me sabe.
It's time we did something about this, men. And right now, I'm going to tell you...
No, it's all over, folks. It's all over. The guard's been taken to the hospital, and the driver here has given me all the facts. So there's nothing any of you can do about it.
Well, there's something I can do about it, Sheriff. I can just move my family out of this territory before we're all murdered in our beds.
Now, take it easy. Calm down, will you? I can assure you I'm doing everything in my power to capture the Comptons. But you all know as well as I do that their hideout is in the mountains, on the other side of the county line. I have no authority to go...
What do we care where their hideout is? They do all their thieving and their murdering right here. And I don't aim to risk my life and money any longer.
He's right, Sheriff. I've been driving stage in this part of the country for more than 5 years. Well, as of now, I'm quitting. And I'm not coming back until Lou Compton and his brothers are behind bars.
You're right,
Driver sure Lou Compton man who hold him up.
Yeah. Yeah, he was sure.
You not seem worried like other people here.
Probably because I don't have anything to lose.
You live in Cottonwood City?
No. No, I live in a little shack down at the end of Boot Hill Road. Why'd you ask?
Let me just wonder. That strange tattoo. Picture of gun with initials FD below.
I don't see anything strange about it.
Once long ago, me see tattoo like that. It mark a famous man.
Well, I'm not him, you understand? No matter who he was, I'm not him. I'm nobody. It's nobody.
Tonto, I hope you had better luck than I did.
Maybe, Kemo Sabe. You not able to follow tracks?
No, they disappeared into a stream about a mile away. What did you learn in town?
Stage driver say Lou Compton man who robbed him. People in Cottonwood City frightened of gang.
That's why Lou Compton and his brothers must be stopped. Tonto, this area could be one of the richest in the West. But until this territory is made safe for settlers, it'll never develop the way it should.
People already talk of leaving.
Were you able to talk with the sheriff?
Me not try, Kemo Sabe. Me speak to another man instead.
Another man?
A man maybe 50 years old. Face not shaved. Clothes old and torn. But him have tattoo on right arm. Picture of gun and initials FD below.
FD? Are you certain of that?
Many year ago, me see same tattoo, Kemo Sabe. On arm of Marshal Frank Dean.
Yes, I remember you speaking of it. It sounds incredible, Tonto. I understood that Frank Dean was killed 3 years ago. In Wyoming, wasn't it?
When him marshal in Carterville.
I wonder why one of the greatest peace officers in the West would allow everyone to think he was dead. Were you able to find out where he lives?
Him say him have little shack at end of Boot Hill Road.
Tonto, if this man really is Frank Dean, He should be able to give us a tremendous amount of help in tracking down the Comptons. Let's pay him a visit.
Who's there?
Friends?
What is this?
Don't be alarmed. We're not here to harm you.
Well, then why are you here? I haven't got any money. Go on, get out.
Looks like you're planning a trip, Mr. Dean.
Who are you?
The name is unimportant. Let's say I'm just someone who has always had the profoundest respect for peace officers like Frank Dean.
A masked man with an Indian companion named Tonto?
Me, Tonto.
But the person I had in mind is said to carry silver bullets.
Like this one, Mr. Dean?
Yeah. May I have this? Oh, thanks. I heard a great deal about you, too, and I'm mighty proud to know you.
The honor is ours, sir.
Honor? No. There's no honor in knowing me.
Perhaps that's for us to decide.
Please leave, will you? I've got a lot of packing to do.
Mr. Dean, nearly everyone believes that you were killed in Wyoming. Why did you drop from sight like that?
It isn't important. Believe me, you wouldn't be interested.
I think I would. Good lawmen are too valuable.
What's valuable about a coward? Can you answer me that? Can you place a value on a marshal who's so frightened of a gun he doesn't even own one anymore?
How did it happen, sir?
I wonder if there's ever an answer to that question. I was in a gunfight with some cattle thieves. I got shot up pretty bad. I was in hospital about 3 months. After I was released, I found my nerve was gone. I was just scared all over.
Don't you know, sir, that you aren't the first man to come out of a gunfight with more scars than the ones the bullets made?
Oh, I know it in my mind, but not in my heart. Well, there's a story. You've heard it. I'd appreciate it if you'd leave now.
Mr. Dean, Tonto and I came here to ask for your cooperation in a very important matter. Before we leave, I'd like to tell you what brought us to this territory.
There's no need to explain. You're after the Comptons, aren't you?
That's right.
Well, I can't help you.
Does that mean you prefer to see the Comptons remain free?
No, of course not. That's the kind of man that's ruining the West. Well, there was a time when I'd have jumped at the chance to work with you, but not now.
Sheriffs say Comptons have hideout across county line. Why lawmen of that county not take action?
It's a new territory. There's very few ranchers living there. I doubt seriously if they've even thought of electing a sheriff. No, sir. If the Comptons are to be smoked out, it's got to be from this side. A lot of good men have tried it, and they've all failed.
But why?
Why? Simply because they were working in the dark.
What do you mean?
Well, if someone could just get past their lookout, and if everyone knew exactly where their guard posts were, then an attack would have every chance of being a success.
It sounds as though you've given the problem quite a lot of consideration, Mr. Dean.
Well, I've thought about it some in my spare time.
I must say I agree with your conclusions. As a matter of fact, I believe I'll do just exactly as you suggested.
But how? I told you their main trail was guarded. You'd never possibly get past them.
I might. If I were to join the gang?
It wouldn't work. Luke Compton would never accept a stranger into his outfit. Unless, of course, he knew he was an outlaw.
I think I know a way to delude Compton into thinking just that about both Tonto and me. But I'll need your help, sir.
No, I told you before, no.
I promise you'll be in no danger, sir.
Well, I suppose in that case...
What's your plan, Kemo Sabe?
Just this, Tonto. First, I'll need directions as to where the guarded trail starts. In an hour or two after Tonto and I have left, I want you to go to the sheriff.
Oh, Sheriff! Come here!
Yeah, what is it?
I was riding along and I saw 2 men camped about a mile from the bend in the river. One of them was wearing a mask.
A mask?
Yeah, and the other was an Indian. They were both armed.
Outlaws, huh? You think they're part of the Compton gang?
Your guess is as good as mine, Sheriff.
Hey, Sheriff and Dean, come now.
Looks as though Dean has done his job well.
Methinks Sheriff see us now.
Let's get started. We'll keep just out of range of the sheriff's bullets.
There they go, Sheriff.
Heading toward the mountains, toward Compton's hideout. Let's go.
Dean's still with Sheriff.
I can't understand it. I told him he could turn back once the sheriff had seen us.
Maybe Sheriff asked him to come.
Well, the county line isn't far away. Both of them will stop there. Come on, Silver.
All right, Chick. I'll take over.
See what you make of this, Lou.
Well, the sheriff's after somebody, all right. A masked man and an Injun. Good-looking horses.
Blast them, they crossed the line. That river back there is as far as I should go.
Won't be long before they'll be in the Compton hideout.
I don't suppose there's one chance in a million that they'll be turned back. We better wait a minute and find out.
Howdy.
Hello, Compton.
Didn't I tell you, Chick? It's getting so everybody I come across recognizes me. I saw your little ruckus with a sheriff a while back. That nag he was riding didn't have a chance against those horses of yours.
These big fellas have saved us more than once.
What did the sheriff have in his mind?
I guess he figured he had a couple of outlaws trapped.
Must be frustrating for the old boy. What made you head up this way?
My friend and I have been wanting to meet up with you for a long time. We heard about you in Montana.
Yeah?
Yeah. We were on our way here when the sheriff spotted us.
Looking for a hideout?
Yeah. You might put it that way.
Well, I don't see any reason why we couldn't put you up for a couple of days. Unbuckle your gun belts.
You'll not trust us?
I didn't get where I am by trusting people, Injun. But don't worry about it. You'll get them back when you leave. The cabin's just up the trail away. You two go ahead. We'll follow.
That's no use. They aren't coming back. Well, we did what we could. Might as well forget it.
I wonder what's going on up there.
What difference does it make? Personally, I hope the Comptons mow them down. Save some work for the law.
Well, I'm with you, Sheriff, but it's all the same to you. I'd like to stick around a while.
Well, you're over 21. Do what you like. If you're thinking of going up there by yourself, I wouldn't advise it.
Wouldn't you?
Well, this is it.
Nice spot you got here, Compton.
Window and cabin face trail. Easy to shoot man who come from this direction.
That's right, Injun. So if you're running away from the law, you don't have a thing to worry about.
What about the back way?
Nothing but cliffs. Come on in. I'd like you to see the place. Well?
Yeah, very impressive.
Not many people outside my brothers and me have ever seen the inside of this cabin.
There are three, aren't there?
Yeah. Bonnie's probably down at the well. He'll be back in a minute. This is the bunk room. And here's the kitchen. There's enough grub in there to feed us for 6 months, if the good people in Cottonwood City should try a siege. And here's enough guns and ammunition to fight off an army.
And speaking of guns, take a look at this beauty.
Oh, that's mighty handsome. But if you really want to see a gun, that's Betsy. And before I get through with her, she's gonna be the most famous gun in the West.
How many notches, Lou?
23. But she's new yet.
Lou, don't you think I ought to get down to the lookout post?
In a minute, Chick. Hey, why don't you make us something to eat?
Right.
Maybe our friends would like to hear the story behind some of these 23 notches, huh?
Looking for somebody, mister?
No, I was...
Turn around and shut up. All right, get in the cabin.
Listen, mister,
I said to get inside.
I don't want to go on. I wasn't doing...
Come on, get moving.
Hey, what is this?
Look what I found outside. What are these two birds doing here?
Never mind them, they're friends of mine. Who is this character?
I don't know. I caught him snooping around out by the window.
I didn't mean any harm. I was just passing...
Who are you? Come on, who are you? What are you doing here?
Leave him alone, Compton. He isn't armed.
Look at him, he's shaking like a leaf.
The thing I can't figure out is how you ever got past Chick. What's going on in here? What are you doing here? You mean you haven't got a lookout up on the trail?
That's right, brother.
Why, you stupid fool.
Watch it, Barney. Next thing you know, you'll be forgetting who gives the orders around here.
And speaking of orders, Compton, hold it. Right there. I'm sorry I wrecked your plan, mister, but I see no reason why we can't take this crummy trio into custody ourselves.
You mean you three have been working together? Is that it?
That's right. And I feel like a human being for the first time in years. There'll be no more running away, mister. When I saw you and Tonto riding up here alone today, something happened to me. Now I know how a fire horse feels when he hears the bells and smells the smoke.
Tonto, you said?
That's right.
And you must be the Lone Ranger.
The Lone Ranger?
Well, what do you know about that?
Drop that gun, Compton. Drop it.
Oh, I'm sorry, friend. I forgot to tell you. It's empty.
Sorry, mister.
There's no reason to blame yourself, sir.
You want me to take care of these guys?
Now, you stay out of it, Chick. This is one job I gotta do.
This ain't no time for jokes, Lou.
Think what they'll call me from now on. Lou Compton, the man who killed the Lone Ranger.
Wonder what he looks like under that mask.
You can find out after he's dead. Now, come on, Lou, and get it over with.
You know, Compton, you aren't much of an outlaw.
Is that so?
He's just stalling for time, Lou. Go ahead and shoot him. Let's get out of here.
Shut up. Maybe you know somebody that's tougher than me, mister.
I've known 100 who are more observant.
Yeah?
It's obvious you'd heard of me before.
Maybe.
Perhaps you heard that I use silver bullets.
So?
Silver bullets, Compton. You see, if you had been more observant, you'd have been able to identify me the moment you took my gun belt.
Yeah, he's got a point there, Lou.
You were lucky this time, Lou. But I think your brothers ought to know that they have a fool for a leader.
All right, that's enough. We'll see which one of us has been a fool. Mister, in just 10 seconds, you're gonna be dead. And I'm gonna be the biggest man in the West. So start saying your prayers.
Great work, Dean.
I feel 25 years younger.
You keep them covered while Tonto and I tie them up. We'll take care of Lou's shoulder later.
Well, what's the next move, mister?
You think you can take those three into Cottonwood City alone?
I could take these three to China alone.
Then they're all yours.
But wait a minute. There's quite a sizable reward out for the Comptons.
You've earned it, sir.
But you and Tonto...
Money help you get started again.
That's mighty generous of you.
By the way, after you turn those three in, where do you intend to go?
Back to Wyoming. Back to my home.
Perhaps we'll see you there.
You aiming to head up that way, too?
Yes. It's time Tonto and I paid a visit to an old friend of ours, Judge Thomas, and asked him to have a badge ready.
Oh, I don't know how to thank you for that.
Good luck, Marshal.
Adios.
Adios.
Well, Chick, you had things pegged right all the time. We had a fool for a leader.
Lou Compton, the greatest man in the West. Except for one.
The Lone Ranger.
The Lone Ranger.
Hi-yo, Silver!
A fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty hi-yo Silver. The Lone Ranger.
Hi-yo, Silver! Away!
With his faithful Indian companion Tonto, the daring and resourceful masked rider of the plains led the fight for law and order in the early West. Return with us now to those thrilling days of yesteryear. The Lone Ranger rides again.
During his vacation from an eastern college, Dan Reid, teenage nephew of the Lone Ranger, was spending the summer with the masked man and his Indian companion, Tonto. One morning, Dan had ridden into the town of Red Rock to purchase supplies and was now on his way back to the Lone Ranger's camp in the nearby hills.
We got company.
I'll gun him down.
Hold it, Gus. He might not be alone. We don't want anyone getting a look at us.
Yeah. Yeah, and from where he is, he can't tell what we look like.
Barnett's finished. That's what's important. Let's get out of here. My shoulder.
Easy. Don't try to talk now.
Who are you?
I'm Dan Reid. I just like quiet.
They're coming back. Have you a gun?
They're friends of mine. You won't need a gun.
What happened, Dan? Tonto and I heard some shots.
This man's been wounded.
Me get something to make bandage.
He was hit in the shoulder.
You're masked.
Don't worry about the mask. I'm not an outlaw.
You see a man get shot?
Yes, Tonto. Two men were chasing him. One of their shots hit him. And then, well, I think they saw me. They rode away.
Them lawmen, them not right away.
They weren't lawmen, Injun.
And you know the men who shot you?
You bet I do, mister. One was Red Dixon, the other was Gus Gottwalls. An Indian named Tonto. And a masked man who rides a big white stallion.
A horse named Silver.
Then you're...
The Lone Ranger. Do you want to tell me why they shot you?
I sure do, mister. I'm Roy Barnett. I'm a Texas Ranger. I was assigned to find the Cardoza gang.
Yes, I've heard of Cardoza. He's clever as well as being dangerous. And to my knowledge, no one outside of his gang has ever seen his face.
Well, I know what he looks like.
That plenty good thing for law to know. How you find him?
I posed as a drifter and hung around the border cafes. Finally, I met one of his gang. I became friendly with him, and he took me to meet Cardoza.
That brave thing to do.
I thought after I found out where the hideout was, I could slip away and return with a posse. But Cardoza wasn't taking any chances with a new man. He had me watched day and night. They even took my gun away. Said I could have it back after I proved myself.
2 men who were chasing you. Are they Cardozo's men?
Yeah. The one of them, Red Dixon, showed up at the hideout this morning and recognized me as a Texas Ranger. I was lucky to get away at all.
Can you tell us how to get to Cardozo's hideout?
Sure. And I heard Cardozo's planning some kind of a job.
Cardozo runs true to form. Whatever he's planning will endanger the lives of many people.
Him never seemed to care how many people he killed.
If you're gonna look for Cardozo, may I come with you?
I can show you the way.
No, Roy. In your condition, you'd be more of a hindrance than a help.
I guess you're right.
We'll take you back to our camp. Dan, Roy shouldn't be left alone. If we're delayed in returning to camp for any reason, it's up to you to see that Roy gets safely back to town.
I understand.
Good. After we've reached our camp, Roy, you can direct Tonto and me to Cardozo's hideout.
Tell me, why? Why is it that I, Juan Pedro Cardozo, must have such stupid fools working for him?
But it's like I said, we saw Barnett fall from the saddle.
But do you make sure that he is dead? No, you do not do that.
We didn't have a chance. We saw the somber and I figured others might have heard the shots.
Always when someone else do the thinking, there is trouble. First, it is you. You bring a spy, a snake among us. And then you perhaps let him leave. Perhaps already he's telling someone where I, Juan Pedro Cardozo, am. Or what the face of Juan Pedro Cardozo is like. Pancho.
Si, senor.
Get my horse. We leave here at once.
Muy bien, senor.
You two will go back and find that snake Barnett. I want him dead. We will meet at the old mine tunnel.
There's where Barnett hit the ground.
Yeah, and he's gone. Red, do you think he's still alive?
How should I know? There's the tracks of 3 other horses here besides those of Barnett's.
I wonder who rode the other 2 horses.
Does it matter?
I guess not.
They took off in that direction.
What do we do?
What do you think we do? We follow the tracks. If we don't find Barnett, Cardozo's gonna be a lot madder than he was. Come on.
Directions, that should be Cardozo's hideout. It looks deserted.
Shortcut Roy tell us about get us here plenty fast.
Yes, Tonto. With Barnett getting away, Cardozo must have decided to move on.
Maybe we pick up trail, Kemo Sabe.
We can try.
Kemo Sabe. Look like 4 horses been tied here at picket line. 2 horses been here a long time. Their trail lead off to north. Other 2 horses been here a short time. Their trail go that way.
2 horses that were tied here a short time must belong to the men who shot Roy. Cardozo's horse must have been one of the other 2.
We follow trail that go to north, Kemo Sabe?
Yes, Tonto. Cardozo's the man we want.
Have a drink of water?
Sure.
What's wrong, Dan?
The 2 men who chased you. I'm sure they're coming up the trail.
We got to get away.
No, you're in no condition to ride.
I can try.
No, Roy. Be better if you stay hidden. I'll let them see me, and I think they'll follow. Then I can lead them away from here.
But they may catch you.
On Victor, I'm sure I can outrun them. But I'll keep out of gun range.
You're taking a big risk.
I'll be careful. You better keep my gun just in case.
But Dan,
I'll hide your horse.
Oh, Dick. Oh. Good luck, Dan. The hombre on the white horse.
I don't see Barnett.
But I bet he can tell us where to find him. Come on. Be able to catch him while he's on that horse.
We gonna let him get away?
No. You keep on chasing him. There's a trail that leads over this ridge. I'm gonna take it and try to cut him off. Come on.
Go into water, Kemo Sabe, but not come out.
Sure, Cardoza used the riverbed to cover up his trail so he couldn't be followed.
Cardoza, plenty smart bandit.
Yes, he's clever and cautious, and he knows every outlaw trick. He and men like him are a constant menace to the development of the West.
Now, what we do now, Kemo Sabe?
We'll go back to where we left Dan and Roy. You ride into town and report what's happened to the local sheriff.
Hit the ground.
What's the...
I said hit the ground.
Say, he's not much more than a kid. Not even wearing a gun.
Where's the man you found on the trail a while ago?
What man?
Don't act so dumb. Where is he?
We want to know where Barnett is. That ought to loosen up your tongue. You gonna talk? You little whelp.
Hold it, Gus.
I ought to put a bullet in him.
Don't be a fool. You can't learn anything from a dead man. We'll take him to see Cardoza. Maybe after he's finished with him, he'll let you give the kid a lesson in fist fighting.
I'll make him sorry he was ever born. Get on your horse.
Feeling better, Roy?
I'll be all right.
Where's Dan? He must have seen us coming up the trail.
Well, Dan...
Something happened to him?
He saw the two men who gunned me coming up the trail. He said he was going to lead him away from here. I tried to stop him.
Those men have done anything to harm Dan,
We pick up trail, Kemo Sabe. We find them.
We'll be back, Roy. Come on, Tonto.
Senor Cardoza.
Okay. What is it that you disturbed the siesta, Juan Cardoza?
But the senores Reid and Gus, they come up the trail.
They come alone, no?
No, senor.
Bueno, then they find the pig, Barnett.
It is not the pig, Barnett, what they bring with them.
What?
I'm sorry, senor.
Oh, it's the gringos, Reid and Gus, who will be the sorry ones.
Pancho, take care of the horses.
Come on, boys. Come on.
Who is this that you bring here now?
This is the hombre that come along after we gunned down Barnett.
And you run from him? A boy, just a muchacho?
He may be young, but he's plenty tough. Ask Gus.
I ain't forgetting what the young whelp did.
And the gringo Barnett, you find him? He is dead, no?
Well, we didn't find him, but this here kid knows where he's at.
Joe, where is the man they say you find on the trail?
What man?
He's playing dumb again. Let me beat it out of him.
He knows what happens to Barnett.
So the muchacho will not answer Juan Pedro Cardoza. I ask you once more, where is the snake Barnett? So the muchacho still will not speak. He's yours. Make him talk.
I'll knock some of that spunk out of him.
Better be careful, Gus. Remember what happened back on the trail.
I'll make this young whelp feel sorry he was ever born.
Dan, stop here, Kemo Sabe. See tracks of 2 other horses.
Yes, Tonto. All the tracks lead off in that direction.
If rain come, Kemo Sabe, and wash tracks away.
We'll have to find Dan before the storm breaks.
Come on, you gonna get up or not? Oh, so you haven't had enough. Oh!
Can't you find him, Gus?
I'll break his neck. Oh!
You must like it down there, Gus. You're there most of the time.
You do not make the muchacho talk. You let him make a fool out of you. And by making a fool out of you, he makes a fool out of me. Juan Pedro Cardoza does not let fools work for him too long. Hey, Red, looks like a storm is coming. Pancho!
Si, senor.
Tie up the muchacho and bring him into the tunnel. I question him there.
Muy bien.
Careful.
Sound like shots come from across valley, Kemo Sabe.
Yes, Tonto. Come on.
Look, Kemo Sabe. Dan's horse Victor with other horses. You think them have Dan in tunnel?
There's a good chance of it, Tonto.
We go see now?
If Cardoza and his men are holding Dan in the mine tunnel, we'd be perfect targets for their bullets if we tried to rush them.
Them see us against light. We not see them in darkness. We wait till night. Them not see us then.
True. But it would be difficult to take Cardoza and his men by surprise. And in the darkness, if there is any shooting, Dan might get hit.
What we do then?
We've got to smoke them out into the open.
How we do that?
Many mines have 2 entrances, Tonto. The main tunnel and a second tunnel which can be used to escape by if there's a cave-in. If that mine has an escape tunnel, we have to find it.
If mine have second tunnel, Kemo Sabe, we find it.
We'll circle around the east slope of the mountain and begin our search there. Come on.
That stupid pig of a man, Goss. He hit him too hard on the head. Now even Juan Cardoza has to wait. But Cardoza will make him talk. And after I do it, his life as well as that of the spy Barnett, we will snuff out. Like one snuffs out a candle. While we wait, I tell you how we carry out tomorrow's raid.
Me hope this tunnel we look for, Kemo Sabe.
So do I, Tonto. I have a candle in my saddlebag. We'll need it to light our way inside the mine. Be careful, Tonto. The timbers shoring up this tunnel are old and rotten. Bumping against almost any one of them could cause a cave-in.
Now, me be careful.
We're going to rob the bank in Gainesville. It should cause us no trouble. And after we take all their money, we head back across the border. Hey, now here's what you'll do. Reid, you will ride into town with me. And Pancho, you will come into town a few minutes later. We all meet in front of the bank. You understand, no? Seguro. Bueno. Pancho, you will stay outside the bank and watch. Reid and I, Juan Cardoza, will collect the money. And we kill anyone who comes on the street to stop us. See?
Tunnel. There's Dan. 3 men are with him in the tunnel.
Maybe we rush them, Kemo Sabe.
No, Tunnel. There'd be gunplay with Dan in the line of fire.
That bad.
Tunnel. There's a draft passing through the tunnel toward the main shaft. We'll follow our original plan and smoke the outlaws into the open. I don't like doing it with Dan in there, but...
Smoke not hurt Dan, Kemo Sabe. Only make his eyes water. Outlaws maybe kill him. Me get wood to make fire.
Good. I'll go back and gather some branches and leaves. That'll cause the fire to give off more smoke.
You be careful, Kemo Sabe.
Yes, Tunnel.
What do we do with the kid?
First, he tells us where we find the gringo, Barnett. And then, we kill him.
Powder from these bullets will make a fast, hot fire.
We wet leaves, Kemo Sabe.
Yes, Tunnel.
Wet leaves make fire, smoke plenty. Smoke make outlaws leave tunnel plenty fast.
I hope so, Tunnel. This candle should make a good fuse for the fire. All right, let's go. A lot depends on Silver and Scout now.
They get us there in time, Kemo Sabe.
We'll leave Silver and Scout here.
You will not tell Juan Cardoza where the gringo Barnett is.
If I did, you'd kill me anyway.
There are more unpleasant ways to die than from a bullet.
Let me give him a taste of my gun butt. That'll loosen his tongue. The mine, it's on fire!
On fire? Mine cannot burn.
I'm getting out of here.
Hold it. Get your hands high. Don't make a sound. Tat 'em. Get their guns and tie them up. Tonto, I'm going in after Dan.
Me see that these men not get away, Kemo Sabe.
Dan?
Sure. I'm all right. This is Cardoza.
Looks like you've taken all the fight out of him. Want to take your prisoner in, Dan?
You bet.
Senor Barnett.
What is it, Cardoza?
The senor who wears the mask, the one who teaches the little muchacho to fight like 7 demons. Who is he?
I didn't recognize him when I first saw him, but I should have. You see, the masked man is none other than the Lone Ranger.
Be with the Lone Ranger and Tonto same time next week for new dangers in another thrill-packed adventure when the Lone Ranger rides again.